The streets of Baku have always been unforgiving. This is a circuit that doesn't allow hesitation, doesn't give second chances, and punishes mistakes with brutal precision. Today's qualifying session for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix reminded the entire Formula One world of that fact, and while there were surprises, battles, and triumphs across the grid, one storyline overshadowed much of the drama: the complete disaster that unfolded for Ferrari. What was supposed to be a weekend of redemption, or at the very least a strong statement in the fight for supremacy against Red Bull, McLaren, and even the ever-improving RB team, turned into a fiasco that will be remembered as yet another chapter in the Italian team's ongoing saga of missed opportunities and bitter frustration. The stage had been set with so much promise. In the build-up to qualifying, Ferrari had reasons to believe they could fight for the front row. Carlos Sainz looked composed, delivering strong laps through free practice, while Charles Leclerc, a driver who has so often been the king of street circuits and in particular a specialist in Baku, seemed poised to challenge for pole position. Fans expected fireworks. Commentators suggested that this could be Ferrari's chance to remind the world that their project still has teeth. But reality came crashing down in brutal fashion, exposing the fragility of both the car's competitiveness and the team's ability to convert potential into results. As qualifying began, the tension in the Ferrari garage was palpable. The engineers knew that track position would be everything, that a toe on the long straight could be decisive, and that a mistake in the tight castle section could end it all. Still, there was confidence, the kind that comes from knowing you have two highly skilled drivers and a car that, on paper, should be able to at least fight near the very top. In Q1, things seemed manageable. Both drivers advanced, though not without nervous glances up and down the timing screens. Ferrari wasn't dominant, but they were in the fight. It was in Q2 and especially Q3 where the cracks began to show, cracks that turned into a full collapse. The drama for Ferrari crystallized when Charles Leclerc, in the decisive Q3 session, pushed just a fraction too hard. The Monégasque, renowned for wringing the neck of his car in qualifying, especially on tricky street circuits, was again driving at the absolute limit. But this time, Baku's walls reminded him of their presence. He clipped, slid, and the lap was gone, effectively removing him from contention for pole. The frustration was immediate, the disappointment visible not just on his face but in the body language of the entire Ferrari pit wall. This was supposed to be his moment, his chance to once again show that no one attacks a street circuit quite like Charles Leclerc. Instead, it was another case of overreaching when the stakes were highest. Carlos Sainz, on the other hand, did manage to put together a lap, and for a moment it seemed like he might salvage something for the Scuderia. But even his best effort could not match Max Verstappen's brilliance or the surprising pace of Liam Lawson in the RB. Sainz ended up second, a respectable achievement on paper but hollow when set against the broader backdrop of Ferrari's ambitions and the fact that they had come into the weekend believing a pole was within reach. Instead of celebrating, the team found themselves explaining, justifying, and once again making excuses for why things hadn't gone their way. And this is where the weight of history makes the current Ferrari struggles feel heavier. 4 years now, the team has been trapped in this vicious cycle of raising expectations only to dash them in the moments that matter most. Today in Baku was a textbook example. The SF-25, despite its improvements, still looks nervous on the limit, still lacks the stability that Red Bull's car possesses, and still forces its drivers into situations where perfection is required just to compete. That is a recipe for disaster on a track like Baku, and disaster is exactly what they got. Leclerc's crash in Q3, followed by Sainz's inability to truly challenge Verstappen, cemented the session as another embarrassment for a team that desperately needs to prove it belongs at the very top. For the Tifosi, the disappointment is becoming all too familiar. They had come into the weekend dreaming of a Ferrari front row, dreaming of seeing their cars leading into Turn 1, of perhaps even a double podium on Sunday. Instead, they are left with the bitter taste of another missed opportunity, another chapter in the long story of squandered potential. Leclerc, once heralded as the future world champion who would bring Ferrari back to glory, seems increasingly trapped in a cycle of brilliance and heartbreak. Sainz, consistent and reliable, finds himself as the one picking up the pieces, but rarely in a position to deliver a knockout blow. Together, they symbolize the contradictions of Ferrari. So much talent, so much possibility, yet somehow always just short of the mark. The wider paddock noticed too. The sight of Liam Lawson out-qualifying Leclerc in a midfield RB car is the kind of headline that stings in Maranello. For all the resources, for all the prestige, Ferrari once again found themselves overshadowed not just by Red Bull, but by upstarts who seem to maximize every ounce of performance from their packages. The excuses of the past, about development paths, about regulation cycles, about long-term projects, are beginning to wear thin. Today was supposed to be proof that Ferrari could still play at the sharp end. Instead, it was proof that the same old ghosts still haunt them. And yet, what makes this fiasco particularly painful is the sense of inevitability about it. Everyone watching, whether fans, journalists, or rivals, could sense it coming. They've seen this movie before. Ferrari arrives with promise, shows flashes of speed, builds anticipation, and then in the decisive moment something goes wrong. A crash, a mistake, a strategy error, a failure to adapt. Today it was Leclerc's crash in Q3, a moment that summed up not just the session, but the broader trajectory of Ferrari in recent years. Talent undone by pressure, brilliance overshadowed by misfortune, hope crushed by harsh reality. Tomorrow's race might still offer redemption. Baku is unpredictable, safety cars are almost guaranteed, and strategy could turn everything upside down. Perhaps Sainz can convert his second place into something greater. Perhaps Leclerc can climb back through the chaos to salvage a podium. But even if that happens, today's qualifying will linger. It will be remembered as another wasted chance, another illustration of why Ferrari continues to frustrate those who love them most, another reminder that in Formula One, potential means nothing if it is not realized when it matters most. For Ferrari, Baku 2025 qualifying was not just a poor result. It was a fiasco, a collapse, an embarrassment that encapsulates all their struggles in this era. And unless something changes, fundamentally, decisively, it is hard to see how the story will end any differently in the races to come. The streets of Baku told the truth today, and it was a truth that Ferrari and their fans did not want to hear. They are still not good enough.